So I won't lie, I can start off by saying I'm starting this a little late. It's been a crazy week for me, and this unit needs to be awesome and ready to go by next week. Not what I recommend for planning units, but we've all been there where we're trying to lesson plan like a week before, and we're trying to get together an entire unit. So, all right, let's talk really quick about what in the world I'm doing. So in my classroom, I use the grid method with the Teach Further model overlay, which is so fun because that allows me to get really, really authentic curriculum that I know is going to be rigorous, that I know is going to be scaffolded for my students. I essentially am building myself up for success. However, the Teach Further model then allows me to add that purpose behind it, the engagement, right? You can teach content without actually communicating to your kids why that's valuable. So by doing the Teach Further overlay, I'm now creating a themed internship around the content that I'm teaching, and that gives purpose to my students throughout their daily learning. So I'm currently planning a 6th grade math accelerated unit. It has to do with equations. And I first started by doing my typical folders. So I have a Google Drive. I keep everything in. I actually use Google Slides for my packet, so I can actually turn this around and show you that. So these are the common assessments that I have to use. So according to my district, I have to assess my students using these assessments. So I'm going to open these up, take a peek at these, and figure out, using the backwards model, how in the world I'm going to design my grid and what the purpose behind my content is. So I kind of looked at my standards. They're all equation standards, using inequalities, kind of building that framework for starting to understand what an equation is and how it can be used. I would love to then do a Bloomington Police Department unit. In the past, I have changed the theme so many times because I haven't found one that I love, and my sponsors always change for my Teach Further units. So I'm going to reach out to Bloomington Police Department and see if they are good to sponsor our equation unit. So this is my Google Drive. This was my slides that I'm opening. And what I did is I just am using Google Slides, but I changed the format of the slides, which you can do through page setup, and I made it actually to mimic a page. And I haven't done much yet, but what you'll notice is I have like my cover page, which I use Packet, so that's how I've been able to kind of keep everything organized. And then I have some routines, like the second page is always a grid, and then I have some notes and stuff that will be in here that will be to support my student. The last part that I always do before I really get to dive into breaking down all of my elements of my lesson is that I use a ton of digital resources. I actually even communicate most of my grid on my website. So I'm at the back end of my website. I use Weebly just because I do. This is now like the bones of my unit. I always start with my student tracking page, and then I can go in and edit all these pieces. And then my grid is actually in here. I started kind of scaffolding through using the grid method, how I wanted this done. I haven't yet done my targets, but I'm starting to put in kind of what my grid's going to look like. Currently eating ice cream because I'm having a total brain freeze on how this unit's going to all come together. All right, so the ice cream helped. I finally put together my standards. Now I'm going back to my website to see what it looks like all published. Website. So this is what I'll put together. It's not quite student ready, at least wherever the brain freeze. As you can also see, I have one of my puppies right here hanging out with me, Harvey. There we go. This is Harvey, and he is pretending to help me with my website. So now that my grid and packet are finished, I am now working on the calendar. So I always like to create some sort of calendar for students so that they can go in and kind of see what we're predicting our class goal to be. Obviously, this is a very flexible calendar, but I find for 6th graders, it's really nice for them to see where we're starting and what we're working towards in compared to the resources and activities that I've given them. I now get to think about my introduction day, my big review day, and my community outreach. Those are all elements part of the Teach Further unit. My curriculum's done. The grid method is a huge help with that. That's already finished. Now I need to think about how I'm engaging my students, not only through their day-to-day, but how am I going to keep them engaged? How am I going to hook them in? All that stuff. So as far as community outreach, I kind of already figured that out. The Bloomington Police Department is going to partner with me. They wanted to get back to me because they wanted to be super involved in that community outreach experience. It usually comes with me at the end of my unit anyway, so I think I'm all right just kind of holding off, letting that pan out once the Police department has time to get back to me, hopefully later this week. As far as an introduction day, that's going to be the first thing that my kiddos are going to see. I'm thinking about some sort of like fingerprinting, you know, kind of what they would normally do in a normal police academy first few days of training. They'd be asking for identification, they'd be fingerprinting, maybe there'd be some sort of like physical education test to test their strength. In terms of big review day, I always do some huge CSI classroom transformation where they act as detectives to solve crimes. That's something I've done in the past with a different unit that I don't do anymore. So I'm hoping to then bring that back into this unit. The kids always loved it. More ice cream. My packet's done, my website's done, my introduction day is more or less planned. Website's up and ready to go. So I hate to say it, but I am going to tap out for the day. Tomorrow, I will finish all the rest of this up and do copies of my packet, so kind of get that soon ready. But while this may not have been the most thrilling video, it was a day in the life. Have a good night, guys. Good luck with your lesson planning.